My topic again is the dream. And, you think about how most of us go through our lives and like Thoreau said, most men live lives of quiet desperation. And I think that's really true for most people. And they're just wanting to be somebody and wanting to make it. And, most people never had the opportunity to have other people in such a large group like this make them feel the way you made me feel. And I hope that some of you will just have the guts to tough through the tough times and get it going so that someday you can experience what that feels like, because I think every one of you deserves to feel that way if you do the work necessary to make that happen. And it's really indescribable. It's hard to describe how that feels. And I just hope that you all do what you need to do to make to feel that someday. Well, anyways, let me just talk to you a little bit about how to get there, what the dream means. And there's two ways to get there. There's full or part-time, When I first started, I was part-time. If it wasn't for that we had part-time here at PFS, I don't know that I would have ever got started here. I was making $55,000 a year. I was in the retail jewelry business. I was 25, 26 years old when I was making that kind of money. And I had the house and the home, the cars and all that. And there's a lot of obligations like we all do. And if they would have told me, Hector, you've got to quit your job, go full time and get right into this thing, I would have said, thanks, but no thanks. I don't care how good it sounds. I'm not leaving the security of my job. I've been doing that for a few years. I'm good at it. I know that I can make money doing that. And this is a iffy kind of thing. But they didn't say that. They said, Hector, you can start part-time. You can do it at your own time. I used to manage a jewelry store, so I used to work real weird hours. My only days off were Monday and Wednesday. So that was really the only chance I had to do the business. And so I did it when I was able to do it. So a lot of you are coming in here and you're thinking, well, when am I going to fit it in? When you fit it in when you can fit it in. And you make it go little by little, and you work it in as you go. And if the business makes more sense as you progress, then you find ways to commit more time to it. Does that make sense? That's what you do, So however much time you can commit that. And if it's a lot, then great, you'll go quicker. And if it's a little, then you'll find some way to make that grow as time goes on. I had one thing. I also, if they would have said I had to go full time, I don't know if I ever would have, because when I first got involved, I didn't look at this as what it's turned out to be. I looked at it as a way to pay off some credit card debt. I don't know if any of you have any credit card debt, but I had about $6,000 in credit card debt, and I looked at this as a way to pay that debt off, because as I noticed every time I made the payments on that thing, the balance never went down. Do you notice that yet? When you make those credit card payments, the balances never go down. And I said, I got to get rid of that so I can start saving some money. And so it really helped me to get started like that. So it's one of the great parts of doing this business. Another thing is you can even reach your dreams part-time. I have a part-time guy who's been part-time. He'll probably never go full-time. His name's Joe Moscola, and he's been with me since almost the beginning. He saved about $300,000 in this business part-time over the last 10 years. A part-time guy. Now, he's going to be financially independent, right? So he is realizing the dream of PFS, either part-time or full-time. So any way you look at it, if you're committed and you're diligent, you can do that. And that's really exciting. One of the things that makes this thing really exciting also is there are no limits or restrictions. Do you understand that in almost everything else we do from an employment standpoint, there are some limits and some restrictions, but here there aren't any. There are absolutely none, all but the ones we place on ourselves. Those are the only limits and restrictions. If you want to make an extra $500 or $1,000 a month, well, tear it up. If you want to make $1 million a month, you can do that here. You understand? A lot of you maybe don't understand the compensation system yet, but I'll give you a little inkling, because this is what my plans are right here. If we get a 30% override on first generation RVPs. Okay. So if you produce an RVP, like Rick Susie is my best RVP, right? He does last month, he did $60,000 in his base shop last month. Well, what is 30% of 60,000? It's 18,000. That's right. Gary got that one down, right? 18,000. Okay. Now think about this. If you have 100 RVPs, doing, say, $30,000 a month that are first generation to you. What does that work out to? About $3 million, right? Well, what's 30% of $3 million? It's 900,000. Okay. And that doesn't include your seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, and all the other things that go with that. Why couldn't you, over your career, develop 100 first generation RVPs? Why can't you? What would prevent you from doing that? The only thing that would prevent you is the way that you think and your inability to keep working and doing the things necessary for that to happen. Do you understand that? You can do that. It might take you 20 years or 25, but so what? We're going to work anyways, right? I'm 36 years old. I think I got about 40 good years in me of work here, okay? I mean, I know that's going to happen. I don't know when exactly. My goal is the year 2000, but it might maybe to the year 2005 or 10. So what? What a bummer, right? The fact is that you can do that. You know, if you want to expand internationally, right now, I started my office in my business back in 1984. I was part-time. I didn't even recruit my first person. I'll tell you, I got exposed to PFS in 1981. Filled out my hiring pack and never turned it in. Never went and took my exam. Paid my fees and everything. I got re-recruited again in March of 83. Turned in my hiring pack. I actually went and sat for my exam, passed the exam. I got licensed in May of 83, never wrote a sale, never went to a meeting, never did anything until January of 84. That's when I got started. And then I didn't have my first recruit, my first agent until July of 84. And then I went full time in October or November of that same year. So, you know, it doesn't, timing is everything in our business. You just keep going. And then from that, it took me almost 2 years to become an RVP from that point forward. And then from that point, I opened my own office. After I'd been an RVP for almost 2 years, I finally opened my first office. And when I opened my first office, my first meeting that we had, our whole team, I had 36 people there. Man, we're having about 3,000 people a week out to op meetings now in my organization. My business now grown. I was one little office that I struggled and I was afraid. Can I make the monthly payments? I was nervous. Can I be a leader? All those kinds of things that everybody feels. I felt those things. But I just kept on going. I had faith. You know what? Some point you got to believe that God's going to take care of you. You do the things you need to do. So I had some faith, and I kept going. And now we have 5 offices in Phoenix, in Tucson, Arizona, in Las Vegas, Nevada, in Reno, in Idaho, in West Virginia. We're going into New York right now. We're in Washington, the state of Washington, Oregon, Canada. I have offices in Vancouver and Winnipeg. We're all over the place. We've got things good. And you know what? I didn't even start those things. Those are people I just got involved here and built and developed people here, and they knew people in other places, and we just kind of expanded. I don't have anything to do with that happening. That's the beauty, the dream of this thing, and it can expand. You can go international. As soon as Mexico opens up, you can believe your bottom. No, we're going to have tons of people in Mexico. And then, we're going to be going into Europe real soon. They've already started all the arrangements to go into the United Kingdom. And then Asia's not too far behind. Do you understand where this is going to be? Don't think about this month or this year. How about 5 years and 10 years and 20 years? You all going to have to be doing something anyways, right? Man, why not be part of something like that? We're going to be all over the world. We're going to be times where you're going to have friends and meet people and be able to help people in continents all over this whole world. It's going to be, what a thrilling life. Can you imagine that? Being able to help people and do that kind of thing all over the world. Imagine the different experiences you're going to have. It's just, I wish you could be in my body just for a second to feel the excitement. What's going to happen here? It's so doggone exciting. The other great thing about this is you decide how far you want to go, man. I know this. God gave us free will and choice. You understand that? That's one of the gifts that he gave us, to decide what we want to do with our time here. Why not? Why would you settle for being average and mediocre? That's not his intent. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do something special, to develop ourselves, to do more, to push ourselves, to become all we can be while we're here. That's what we're supposed to do here. And you can do that. You can help a few people. Maybe you don't have the guts to keep going. Everybody's at a different stage in their life, right? In their development. That's okay. But you can help a few people, or you can have thousands, or you can help millions. You get to decide that. Yeah, I hope you understand. This really can happen to you. A guy like me, from where I came from, what's happening and changing my life right now, I know how some of you feel. I know you're nervous. I know you're scared. The reason I keep saying that, because I was scared every doggone day I got up. But somehow I just kept doing it, and that's what you're going to have to do if it's going to happen for you. But I hope you get that sense that I'm trying to get to you right now. Hey, listen, the other thing is exciting. You decide how far you want to go with this thing. You decide. It's not up to your supervisor or your manager or your previous experience or your resume or your college, that you go to the right college? Did you go to Laverne College that nobody ever knew about? Or did you go to Harvard? Nobody cares that I went to Laverne. It's a little, podunk school here in Southern California. Who cares? I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, you look at that. I mean, I was looking at the paper a couple of weekends ago. I mean, my income right now where I'm at, I'm just getting going. I'm one of the top 10 or 15 highest paid CEOs in the state of California, and nobody even knows who the heck I am. You know, you haven't, it doesn't matter where you belong. You don't have to belong to country clubs. You don't have to have, none of those things are important here. The only thing that's important is what you decide to be important and what you decide to make it. That's what's important. And you decide, and that to me is the most exciting part. When I was growing up, uh, I'm a reader. I want to really encourage you that if you don't read, to start reading. And if you and don't tell me, well, I'm not a good reader. I don't really enjoy it. Well, learn how to be a doggone good reader. I mean, change. That's part of the whole thing of evolving. The only reason is maybe you didn't have the basic skills when you were young. You didn't learn them right. You can learn those even if you're 25 or 45 or 55. Man, there's so many great things that you can put, because thoughts are things. The things that you think about is what makes up your life. And if the more things, the more positive things, the more great things you can put into that brain of yours, the more exciting, the more things can open up to you in your life. It's really important. I want to encourage you to read, to learn, to get better in every area so that you can start thinking about some of those things that are possible out there for you. See, you're only limited by your desire or commitment. I think we all have some desire in you. I mean, there's no question in my mind that every one of you wouldn't be here. It was raining. I don't know about you. When I came here, it was about 10 or 15 wrecks on the way in here, right? So you had to have some desire to get here, to make it here this morning, right? And so you have some desire. I know that, or else you wouldn't take up a Saturday when you could be doing some other things. You could be watching cartoons right now or eating pancakes and a lot of other things, right? But you're here this morning. You're not doing those things. You made a decision. And you made a commitment to be here. Some of you you told people you'd be here. You probably didn't even want to be here, but you made a commitment and you stuck by your commitment. Those of you, I'm proud of you. I mean, I think that's a sign of integrity to do that. Because a lot of people made commitments to you that they were going to be here, and they're not here, are they? I mean, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what you need to do? You need to help those people. Those people have a challenge making commitments. You need to follow up with them. You need to, call them in a loving way, in a caring way, help them to see this thing. Maybe their timing wasn't good for them. They weren't just right. Don't give up on those people. Man, if they would have given up, imagine that first guy that recruited me in 1981 who stopped. He's in an organization now, but I know he's sick right now. Okay. So don't quit. You don't know what's inside of a heart or a man or a woman. Nobody knows that. No, don't ever judge. You know what? We're not capable of judging people. Do you know that? We aren't capable. You should never judge people. Never judge people, because you don't know what's inside of people. Here, the greatest thing to me that was so exciting, because I was saying when I was a kid, I was a dreamer. I used to read a lot. I grew up in a pretty tough, in Chino, in a, it's a pretty much all Hispanic neighborhood, and it was not I saw some things that you probably shouldn't see when you're a kid, and, but I was fortunate. I grew up close to a library about a block and a half away. And I used to have my friends I used to run around with and carouse with and, do the things you do when you're a kid, right? And then I had my library friends. I used to go to the library, all the nerds, right? I mean, I was a nerd too when I was a kid. And I used to really like being with those people and reading books and talking and stuff like that. And my friends that I used to play baseball and football with didn't know I used to do that. But I used to do that. And I used to read, and I developed a love of reading. And I used to read autobiographies of sports heroes. That was my thing. I've read, hundreds and hundreds of autobiographies. I really get a kick out of it. And I found out I started becoming a dreamer when I was a kid, when I was 8 and 10 and 12 years old and 14 years old. I was a dreamer. I thought, you know what? If you work hard enough, you can do anything. I had faith. I had belief that you could do that. I didn't think, why try? I mean, thank God I didn't ever have those feelings, And so when I saw this, I thought it was possible. The thing that's preventing most of you from really being successful is you have a lot of doubts. You understand? That's what's the difference between maybe the people that you see here that are successful and you, is the doubt that's just kind of, it's hurting you. All right. I mean, you gotta start having more faith and belief in what's capable. So I read those things and I thought you could do it if you worked hard. I never for a second thought that it was going to take tremendous commitment and sacrifice and work on my part. I never for once thought it was going to be an easy road. I never even wanted it to be easy, you know? I just go, man, if there's a chance. And when I saw this, I saw there is a chance for me to make it, you know? And I hope some of you are seeing that right now. Don't be afraid of the tough parts. Don't be afraid. Those things are there to help you develop and grow and develop the skills and the things necessary for you to lead other people along the trek. That's what they're there for. They're not there just to aggravate you. They're there for a doggone reason, and look at them as that. All of the challenges you have is the way that you look at them. They're not challenges for the sake of challenges for a chance for us to grow and to develop and to become more so that we can help other people along that trek. So look at those things and embrace them. Don't try to run from them and push it away. We're really limited by our thoughts. You know, that's one of the things I'm working on really hard with my organization. And I've got a base shop right now. I've got some great people in my base shop. You know, I want to challenge you guys right now. I mean, like John Raymond and Jack Solomon and Kurt Joyner and Melanie Bersino and some of these people that are really, you know, Edward Gardo Camacho. I mean, you know, we need to change our thinking. You need to start thinking bigger. You need to start thinking everything's possible instead of all of what everybody else thinks, everything's impossible and it's too hard. That's crazy thinking, you know? That's not the way you want to think. I think that's the thing that separates the people that really make it and don't make it, is the way they think. As I sit back here, I'm sitting here talking to some of the people that are super successful. You think some of those people are different than you. They're not different from you. They think a little different, but they're not. Don't ever be intimidated by people that are doing well. All they did is they learned some things that you haven't learned yet. And when you learn them, you're going to be as successful as you want to be. Don't ever look at people as intimidating, okay? Don't ever do that. You know, and finally, you get to control your own destiny. Finally, you're looking at an opportunity for you to control your destiny, where you end up, where your family ends up, where your children end up, where your grandchildren end up. You know, we have a choice. Sometimes we look at this as just a business as a means to an end. I hope you don't look at this as just a means to an end, but a way that you can really do some impact, have some great impact on the people that you come across as you go through this journey called life. You know, I want to talk to you a little bit about the dream. What really happens when you pay the price to build a business, when you put the hours in to make it happen, when you do some of the things that I look back that seemed it's crazy when I was doing them, but I knew, there was times when I was building my business. I don't recommend you do all these things, but I was willing to do whatever I had to do to make it go. You know, a lot of times people think, well, that Hector, he sure is lucky he found Rick Susie. Well, you didn't know I had to call him for 18 straight months, did you? Okay. I mean, well, he was really lucky. He just found Gary McCrummen right next door to him. Well, Gary wasn't that receptive in the early stages. I tried to get him involved in 10 different things before I got him in here. He thought I was a flake, you know? I mean, you don't know all the things, the challenges. When I first got involved in the business initially, my wife thought I was nuts. She just thought I was trying to get out of the house so I wouldn't have to be around her and the kids when they were little, you know? I mean, she really thought those things. I mean, there was a lot of challenges for Hector LaMarque to build this business. It wasn't a piece of cake. You know, there were times when I was, Rick Susie hired a guy named Dave Harrison in the Sacramento area, and I flew up there to meet him to see if I'd work with him. Rick wasn't even licensed yet at that point, okay? And I flew up there, and I made a commitment. I really liked Dave. I thought he was the kind of guy that I could work with. And I flew up to Sacramento for 11. I wasn't making a lot of money then, folks. That was in 1986. I was just barely starting to get my business going. In fact, in 86, I only made $86,000. And this was before I was really making any real money. I flew up to Sacramento. I flew up to Sacramento for 11 straight weeks, and I didn't know Dave Harrison. I flew up to Sacramento, slept on his couch. I'd get there on Wednesday morning, start working and training him, right? Go out and see people. And then I'd fly back on Friday morning. I was sleeping at a stranger's home on a strange couch just so I could get this doggone business going. I wasn't going, well, I'll do this, but I won't do that. Because like a lot of you are that are doing that right now. I didn't care. You understand? I was looking down the road. I was looking at what was going to happen in my life if I made the commitment. Man, I had an organization in Arroyo Grande. You know what that area is? What's Santa Maria. We hired some people in Santa Maria, and I used to do the same thing. I'd drive up there on Sunday, stay with Sam Abanig, and work with them and stuff. And then on Monday nights, we rent a little hotel room, and I take my overhead with me, and we try to do a opportunity meeting. And I used to do that. I did that week after week. And there were some nights I drive. It takes a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from my home. I drive up there, no one show up. No one would show up. It happened to me probably 3 or 4 or 5 times. No new people, all old people. Then I had to be excited, man. This is the greatest business on earth. And then inside I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this, And but I never let anybody know that. See, I never let anybody know that I was hurting. I never let anybody know. I believed that if I just kept going and doing the things necessary, it was going to happen. And I'd be driving home. I'd be so tired because I had to drive back. Because I had an op meeting the next day, and I'd have to pull over at a Denny's and sleep in a Denny's parking lot for a couple hours so I wouldn't crash on my way. I mean, you know what I'm talking about? I'm not trying to let you know I walked uphill to school in the snow and back home uphill in snow. I mean, I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm trying to say is that when you're committed, right? You do what you need to do to make it happen, right? There's no limitations. There's no barriers on what you got to do. You just do it. And because I knew what was going to happen, because I believed in what was going to happen. I believed that was going to happen. And I believed that. So I kept on doing everything and anything I could do to make it happen. And what happens, the reason I'm saying this is hoping some of you will hear this and say, I'm always saying I'll do anything, but then when it comes down, I don't. Well, folks, you got to. Not forever. For just long enough to get it going, long enough to let people know you're totally committed. You're not going anywhere. You're a pillar of strength, that you're going to be there. People around you need to see that about you in order for them to follow you and have faith in you, because almost everybody's scared to death and they're so security conscious. If they see you wavering, they're going to have a challenge following you. I didn't want anybody to see me wavering, not for a second, regardless of how I felt inside. And so I kept doing that. And let me tell you what happened as a result of doing that, because there's a kind of a pot at the end of the rainbow. There's financial independence for your family. The thing that a lot of you are dreaming about. The schools of your choice. Both my kids are in the best private schools that there are in the area that I live. My son's going to school called Webb. I mean, it's like $13,000 a year. He's in high school. He's a freshman in high school. My daughter's going to go there. I mean, I'm going to be spending about $25,000, $30,000 a year to put my 2 kids through high school. But it doesn't matter, because it's the best high school. And I work my tail off so I can put them in the best high school. Some of you think that's crazy. No, it's not crazy, because you can't afford it. Hey, the greatest thing is I worked really hard. Is there some times when I didn't see my kids and my wife like I wanted to? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Of course, there were some times when there was some sacrifice, when I'd rather be with them than out on a training sale in Sacramento. Of course there was. But it was a long-term picture. If you're going to go back to school to be a doctor, right? Are you going to sacrifice? Are you going to be, not see your family because you're going to be studying and stuff, right? For a chance to make it, right? Of course. That's the way it is in this country, in this world. There are some sacrifice, but there's some rewards, the time to enjoy your family. I get a chance. I see my kids whenever I want to. I pick them up from school. We do things together. I mean, I see my wife every day. My typical day when I get up, other than Monday morning, is I go work out with my wife. We go to the gym, work out. And then after we work out, we go deposit some money at the bank. And then we go to breakfast, and we do that just about every day unless something else is coming up. I pamper my wife. I take care of her. I love being around her. I worked hard so that I could be around her whenever I wanted to. Hey, I have a son that loves baseball. My son loves baseball. He's a baseball fanatic, that's all he lives for is baseball. He loves it. He's a great student and stuff too, but he loves baseball and he wanted to be a pitcher. My son's not, he's not really fast, but he's really smart. I mean, it's hard. He's not physically fast, right? And, so he wanted to pitch. So what do you do when he wants to pitch? You find somebody that can teach him how to pitch. Because I didn't pitch. I was a second baseman and a shortstop. I didn't know how to pitch, right? So what I did, there's a guy named Frank Castori. Maybe some of you know him. He used to pitch for the Reds. He pitched for the Reds for 11 years in the big leagues, and he lives near me. And so I hired Frank to teach Dak how to pitch. He's been giving Dak pitching lessons every week. And man, he is getting good, boy. You see that curveball drop, man. Hitters lunging. It's so exciting to see that happening. He's doing awesome. His team's in first place. I mean, he's at least the first or second best pitcher in the league. I mean, there's some kids that are more talented than him. You know that physically. I've seen them. But you know what? Their parents don't have the resources to put them in lessons so they can compete at that. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that sad? I'm glad I made that decision to get this thing going. I know Dak's glad I made that decision to get this thing going. You look at my daughter, she loves art, she loves to draw, and she loves anything creative. We send her to art school, that we do whatever she wants to do. It's great. You can do great things for your kids. You can encourage them, for your parents. Some of you have parents still. You're fortunate that your parents are still alive. I'm fortunate my parents are still alive. They worked very hard. My parents, struggled their whole life. I mean, they raised 7 kids, and it was, just basically labor type jobs. And my wife's parents worked hard their whole life too. They didn't have a lot of money. Neither one of them did. And now we're able to do some really great things. Like we've decorated their homes, and we have gardeners for them, and we have, we take care of them. We take them on world-class vacations every year. Since we started making some money in this, we've taken them on a world-class vacation every single year. And I mean world class. When we go to Hawaii with them, we don't stay at one of those condos that has a kitchen and you buy your own groceries and cook. We don't do that, okay? We go and we stay at the Hyatt Regency on Wailea or in Kaanapali, and it's everything with ocean views, because we don't go, well, it's an extra $50 or $100 a night, so we don't want to do the ocean view. Forget that. It's ocean view. You know what I mean? And the restaurants are the right places. And our parents would never had a chance to experience those things. Just the other day was Mother's Day, right? And I was so excited about Mother's Day, because what we were doing for our mothers on Mother's Day, we went to Mother's Day and we gave our parents, our moms and both of our moms, we're taking them on an Alaskan cruise. That was their Mother's Day gift, an Alaskan cruise, and not just sending them, we're going with them, okay, with our kids. And, and the other great, probably even better than that, is that I know my parents and Jan's parents never have to worry about economics, ever. They never have to worry about anything comes up, and, financial, whether it be that they get sick or, the cost gets too high. They're never going to have to worry about that with me here. They ain't going to worry about that. I'll take care of everything. So they can have a retirement of enjoy their grandchildren, enjoy themselves, not be stressed out about, what they're going to do. I mean, there's a lot of people that are elderly that, it's so unfortunate they're having to do things that, they would never dreamed in their million years that they're having to, like, work at McDonald's. You ever notice how many older people are working at McDonald's? I mean, that's not funny. That's sad. That shouldn't happen to anybody's parents. You get to change your children's expectations. My children's expectations are so far removed from my expectations were. I mean, the things that they talk about and think about. My daughter said the other day, we were just talking, and she goes, I know we were talking about work and about getting things going. She goes, so what are you going to do, Janae? Are you going to, what kind of job are you going to get? That was a Freudian slip. It's a dumb thing to say, right? She goes, a job? A job? What would you have a job for? I don't want a job. She's 13 years old. I don't want a job. You know why people have jobs, Dad? Because they need to be told what to do. That's why they have jobs. My 13-year-old daughter. Now, I know a lot of you have jobs, and I'm not putting that down because I had a job too, but I made a choice to get out of that job, okay? But her thinking, that's the key, see? She's not thinking about being an employee. She doesn't want to. Why be an employee when you're in America, when you don't have to be an employee? You can choose to be an owner, right? Ownership. Why would you ever be an employee when you don't have to be? They expect great things. They expect to win. They just expect to win. They're positive. You can't be around us for very long and be a negative person. You don't fit in. You're like a square peg in a round hole. You feel very exposed when you're around us, when you're negative. I don't like negative people around me. I don't like them around my kids. I don't like them around my people. I don't like people that are negative. It's not that I don't like them. I don't like being around them. I think they got a challenge you got to work out. And this is a great place. It's a great environment to rear your family in, where everybody's positive. When they come over, it's, hey, how you doing? How things going? It's not like, Well, did you hear what Clinton did today? And right? I mean, it's like I don't like Clinton any more than most of you do. Okay, but you know what? He's trying to do his best, right? We got to get bigger so that we don't get another person like that in there again. That's all. Now I know there are some Clinton supporters in here. I realize that, and that's okay too. But you know what? We're in America where everybody has a free, they can voice their opinions, and I have to be at the podium right now, which is a really exciting part of doing this business. God bless him, though. I hope he does a great job. I hope he turns this thing around because there's a lot of people hurting out there and want to help those people too. And that's what we're about, right? Hey, but you know what? Your kids are going to grow up someday and they're going to have their own lives. They're going to have their own agenda, but you're going to be with your spouse hopefully forever. I mean, couples is for, I expect to be my wife forever. I mean, I don't ever want to have anybody else in my life but my wife. And, and I was really concerned, I was really concerned that my wife, when she woke up in the morning, that she didn't turn over and take a look at me and go, "Oh my God, what did I do?" I didn't want her to feel like that. I wanted her to go look at me and say, "Thank you, God, for putting me with this man." That's the way I wanted her to feel about me. I didn't want her to feel like she made a mistake. I wanted her to feel like she did it was the best thing that ever happened to her. And that doesn't happen just because you show up and you sit in front of the TV and pop open a beer and watch a game. You got to do something with your doggone life. I mean, you got to show that you stand for something and accomplish something. And I worked really hard. And there's a lot of times most of what I do in this business, I do for her. I really do. I mean, I think all of us, if you're a man or you're a woman, your partner is the most important thing in your life to you. Right here on earth, right? And you want to do everything to make them feel better and please them and make them feel proud of you. And so I want to take care of my wife. I mean, I would say that's something that to me is important. Okay. I mean, she's an independent. She knows what she's doing. She's great, but I have this need where I want to take care of her. And some of you feel that way. And so I have taken care of her. All the stuff we've gone through, we've been through some challenging times that we've been married now. We just had our 15th year anniversary the other day. And we've done some great things. I'll tell you a little bit about what I did for my 15th in just a second. But I have a maid for it. When you stay in a hotel, don't you love staying in hotels? Like you go there, you mess everything up, you dirty the towels and you leave everything strewn around and the bed's all in disarray, right? And then you go out and do your thing. You come back in the evening, everything's perfect again, right? It's all made up. Everything hung up and there's new, fresh. I know you like that. That's how my life is every day. I have a maid. I got my wife a maid, and she's an unbelievable. I mean, she's awesome. Patty is just the best. It's great. When you take your clothes off, you go into the room, and you do some other things. You come back, everything's washed and pressed and ironed and back in your closet again. I mean, that is awesome. I mean, that is right. I mean, you women that do the wash, or you men that do the wash, you know what I'm talking about. Not having to ever do that again, to have that trivial thing taken care of, right? And offer some employment to somebody so they can do that. Do you understand that? That's a positive thing too. You're probably thinking, well, that poor maid gets paid. She got about 13, 14, 15 weeks a year paid vacation because I'm hardly ever home. I mean, she's got the best job on earth. I built her a custom 8,000 square foot home, custom decorated. Exactly. Some of the people have been there. It's really nice. I mean, it really is. It's one of those picture perfect kind of place. It's awesome. I love it. I can't believe I live there. Tennis court, swimming pool, everything. Full length basketball courts, got everything. It's a great place. A great place to have your kids grow up in. You know, Somebody said, "You spoil those kids." That's right. I do spoil those kids, but they deserve it. They earned it, man. They're great kids. You know, my I got her. We have a little retreat place. We got a nice little 4,000 square foot home on the 13th hole of the Nicholas Private at PGA West. With as you walk in the front door, it's all glass. We have a rock pool with the waterfall coming down. It's really awesome. And then you look at the mountains and the fairway, and there's a lake right there. And that's where we go on the weekends to get away, from the stress of our daily life. And we have that option. And we get to, like yesterday at the break, just the little things. See, we had fun yesterday. We spoke to them. We went, I don't know if you've ever been to Laurie's in Beverly Hills, but they just moved from across the street there in La Cienega. If you ever have a chance to eat there, it's a great place, one of the great restaurants in the country. And we just went, let's go to Laurie. So we go there. We had a great, in between, we had enjoyed ourselves. And it was just awesome, to be able to do those things, to be able to read the menu from left to right instead of right to left. You know what I mean? I mean, that to me is a big pleasure, because when I was growing up, my parents never took us to restaurants. No, I never went to restaurants when I was a kid. We could not afford to go to restaurants. My dad said, "Oh, you don't want to go to restaurants. The restaurant's no good. The food's not good. Home food's better." What he really is saying, son, we can't afford to take you to the restaurant. We got to eat at home. Right. I mean, that's little people do that. And it's a nice way. Also, you think about somebody, I was listening to a tape of Eric Denton, who's a pastor of the church that we support. And I was listening to tape. He was talking about when he was growing up, that when he was a kid, he would right before Christmas, they looked at the Sears catalog and pick out the things they wanted. You ever remember doing that? Looking through the catalogs when you're a kid, I want this, and putting the pages down and marking them and all that stuff. And hopefully you'd get some of those things, and you'd wake up and you got one of the 25,000 things you wanted or something like that. And now you can do that. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do. It's an incredible feeling of freedom. Now, you don't do everything, but you can, I mean, and it's a great way to be. And the bottom line, though, really, is we talk about, the financial things, and all those things are wonderful, and those are things that you can enjoy, but that's not really what this is about. See, the really thing that makes this thing special is that every one of us is doing everything in our power to feel better about ourselves. That's what we do, from the things we buy, like the clothing we wear, to the cars we drive, to the homes all the things. We're always trying to make ourselves feel better, because most people just don't feel good about themselves. They're searching for a way to do that. And the bottom line is that this is a business that can help you feel better about yourself. If you achieve and you do things and you help other people, nothing makes you feel better. I read off some of the names of the people that are doing really well in our organization right now. Nothing is more gratifying to see those people achieving in their life and making it. I know it's a struggle for them a lot of times. I know they're sometimes. I was just talking to Gary right now. He did $170,000 in his hierarchy last month, and $35,000-$40,000, and he still doesn't feel like he's making it, man. He's making it like you can't believe right now. He's gonna do, his life is gonna be unbelievable. And to see him where he came from, where he was having to sell everything when he was unemployed and had a busted up leg. He won a bunch of things on The Price is Right, and he was selling TVs, and I bought a stereo from him and exercise equipment and all that just to pay his house payment. And today where he's at and what he's able to do and the things that he's acquired and the lifestyle that he's able to afford his family now, that is unbelievable that those kinds of things happen in this life. And I had a part in that. I had a part. I didn't do the work. He did all the work, but doggone it, I played a part, in that thing. It's exciting to be able to do that. But more exciting than that for me is the way I feel about me today. See, there was a time when I didn't feel great about me. There was a time when I was not what I wasn't doing everything. I knew it. I knew that I was kind of just getting by, and everybody thought I was doing well, and it looked on the surface that I was doing well. I was making $55,000 a year, and I had a nice little home in a cul-de-sac in a nice little neighborhood, right? And my wife worked, and I had 2 little kids, and they were doing good, and they were dressed, and we weren't broke, but I didn't feel great about me. I knew I could do more than what I was doing. I knew that I hadn't yet committed to something like I could commit to something. And I didn't feel great about Hector LaMarque. Man, and you need to feel great about yourself. And then when I saw this thing, I said, Hector, you got to commit. You got to make this thing happen. And you got to do it. You got to make it happen and feel great about it. And I did it. And I'm telling you, when I look in the mirror today, I feel great about me. And when I feel great about me, I can be so much better to my kids, to my parents, to my wife, to the people that I come in contact with. Because, I'm not worrying about me. I feel good about me today. I hope every one of you will make a decision to do the things necessary to feel good about you. It is worth it. I am telling you, it is so worth it. It's indescribable. If you could just understand how great it really is. Easy? No way. But worth it all the way. I think back to when I first got started in the business, and I remember I'm a reader. I said that earlier today, and I like to read. I like to do research, and that's just kind of my nature. When I start to do anything, I try to find out as much as I can about it. And my first thing that I saw when they told me how this worked and how cash value worked and how term insurance and investing in mutual fund was a better concept. It made sense, on the surface, but we all have a little bit of skepticism in each of us, right? So what I did is I went straight to the library and I did some research. I looked up all the periodicals and everything I could find about insurance. I went and also, looked up all the different kinds of books on insurance and read, the Mortality Merchants, Scott Reynolds and Mortality Merchants, the life insurance games and scams. I read a bunch, everything I could get my hands on. I read the Norman Dacey's What's Wrong with Your Life Insurance, the first edition that was written in 1960, I think it was 3 or 68 or something like that. That was actually the first book I read. The things that you're hearing here are not new at all. They've been known for decades now. The fact is that no one's ever put this information out on a wide scale basis to the American public like PFS is attempting or not attempting, but is actually doing. And when I started seeing that, I got really excited. One of the things that helped me a lot in when I first was getting started, because a lot of you are new, I used to be in the retail jewelry business. And the retail jewelry business is a lot like the whole life insurance industry. I mean, we'd buy, a ring for $250 and sell it for $1,000, which is like a 400% markup. And the way I equated what I was doing here and what we're doing here versus what in the jewelry industry is we sold a cash value a jewelry product, right? And the insurance whole life is like retail full price jewelry. It's the same type thing. And we used to do the same kinds of things to when clients came in the jewelry business, we were taught this. This is what I taught. I didn't know any better. That's why I have a tiny bit of compassion for the agents. The industry's really the culprit, okay? Because they're feeding this information to these new people that don't know anything about insurance. When they first get in, let's think about yourself. When you first came in the business, what did you know about insurance? Nothing. Same thing is true when those agents first go into the industry. They don't know anything. They're taught those things by the industry, right? By their managers and whatnot. So when we'd have a client come in to the store, right? They'd go, well, I can go to downtown LA and I think I could buy that ring for like a lot less, for maybe half or a third of the cost. And I'd go, well, you don't want to do that. I mean, you do that. I mean, you know, if they're going to be in business tomorrow, those people are fly by night. You don't know if they're going to switch your diamond with a piece of glass. Why would you ever want to do that? We've been in business for 4 generations. You can trust us, right? We've been here forever. We have a jeweler on the premises. We can take care of any problem you have. I mean, you don't want to risk your wife's, ring and do that, do you? I mean, come on. And what we would do is we would get them to be fearful of going to look at something they should buy, right? I mean, that was what I was taught to do. I'm not proud of that, but that's what we did. And then when a wedding or an engagement or my wife's birthday or something came along, I'd come downtown, I'd go to the jewelry mart, I had my connections, and I'd buy the ring wholesale, right? And I'd give my wife that. I did that, okay? And so when I heard the agents were coming back to my clients and I said, oh, this is interesting. This is just like the jewelry business. See, these guys, they said, you don't want to do business with PFS, man. This guy just, it was a filling station at 10. He just fell off of a turnip truck. They're not going to be in business next week. You want to do business with me? I'm a career agent. I've been here for 10, 20 years. We've been in business. Prudential's 120 years old. I mean, and they do all that stuff, right? Have you heard any of that stuff? And they sell them a universal life or a whole life or a variable life product, right? And charge them $2,000 a year for something they could have got for $300 or $400 or $500 a year. And then they go and when they have a new child or something, they need to increase their coverage. They go buy $200,000 a term for about $300 a year. But they sell everybody whole life and universal life. I said, man, this is exactly like the jewelry industry. So I got excited about it. I said, thank God, now I can be on the good side's part. I can go in there and be bold and tell people what's happening and do what's right and never feel embarrassed. See, I was always a little afraid I didn't want to get my people that I knew that were close to me. I didn't want to sell them the products in that jewelry store. I would always recommend them to go downtown. And because if I saw them at a wedding or a baptismal, a birthday party or something like that, I have to face them, right? And I didn't want to have to be embarrassed. And when I got this, I said, this is something I can do. I don't ever have to be embarrassed. I mean, when I see them anywhere, they're going to be excited that I helped them. They're going to be excited I got them in term insurance. They can't do any better than that. They're going to be excited I got them in a mutual fund where they're going to get potentially 10, 12, 15, 20% where they were getting a negative return. There's no money for the first 4 years, and I got really excited about that. I think you need to be proud of what you do. I think one of the things that will enable you to be bold and aggressive and after it and really do is to feel totally 100% confident in what you do for the consumer. If you feel with everything that's in you that you're doing the right thing, you can get after this thing. If there's a tiny bit of doubt, it's going to hurt you in your business. Not only worst case, see, what we do is right. That's a fact. That's not even arguable. See, the thing is, but that doesn't mean anything to you unless you totally 100% believe that yourself, and you can get in front of people and talk to them with some doggone conviction in your heart. And when they say, no, I really like my program and mine doesn't work like that, and all the things that you hear, instead of going, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll call you later. Forget that news, man. No, listen, buddy, you need to see me now. You don't understand. If you knew, you'd be calling me to come see you. Come on, we need to get together. We got to do it right now. This is your whole future, man. We're talking about potentially losing tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in your lifetime. You can't afford to not see me. I mean, you just can't afford it. You need to see me. And you need to have some doggone conviction, because what we do is right, man. And one of the greatest things, you can commit to something where you can be really, truly proud of it. I mean, that's one of the greatest things about PFS, in my opinion, as well as all the great things that go with it. And you think about this, even the industry admits what they're doing is misleading. The CEO of Massachusetts Mutual said life insurance buyers are not getting the whole story. I mean, the industry themselves say that, but you know what? The story doesn't get out enough. Even this thing that was presented, it wasn't on CNN and all the things it should have been on. It was just kind of passed through. Unless we get out there and tell the story, it's not going to get out there. We need to tell that story. You need to be getting excited about it. You need to become a crusader to the core. That's the super important part of your business. And sometimes people think that's corny, but I don't think that's corny one doggone bit. Man, you know what? That was me. When I first got in the business, I had a New York Life policy. I was 21 or 22 years old, 24 years old when I bought that program. I had two young children, about 2 or 3 or 4 years old, somewhere in that range. I was spending $62 a month for $50,000 a whole life with New York Life. That guy converted a $50,000 term policy I had with State Farm that I was paying $13 a month for to $62 a whole life. And my cash value at 65 was going to be $28,000 after, at 24, how many years? That's 41 years. I was going to have $28,000 in cash value. Man, and you know what? They didn't want that guy for 1 second, did not think about Dak or Janae or Jan or any part of my family. He wasn't thinking about that one bit. And you shouldn't be worried about going and replacing all that stuff, because they weren't thinking about that consumer when they sat down with them, and you are. That's our whole basis of our business. The whole base of our business. If we can't improve your current situation, we don't deserve your business. I mean, is that a great place to come from? If we don't improve your situation dramatically, I don't deserve to ask for your business. But if we can, if we do, is there any reason why you wouldn't get involved with us? Can you see any reason why you wouldn't see your way clear to be part of the PFS family? And you ask for that commitment. Don't you be shy about getting that commitment. You get it from them, and let's go tear them up.